Environmental regulations, they are the ethical ceilings for development of mankind. They familiarize us with the importance of watersheds, safeguarding our precious water resources against pollution. They represent our collective commitment to preserving the natural world. They are framed carefully to ensure that our rivers and lakes remain clean and healthy for future generations. Empowering courts to hold polluters accountable and protect our waters, these laws are the result of decades of advocacy and scientific research. Yet beneath these legal shields, rivers and oceans remain under threat from industry. Despite stringent laws, pollution continues to seep into our waterways, often unnoticed until the damage is done. Loopholes like weak enforcement and accidental discharges allow toxic chemicals to slip through, poisoning waterways worldwide. These gaps in our legal framework let pollutants bypass regulations. Especially in developing countries like India, laws do exist, but untreated industrial waste still pours in daily. Rivers sacred to millions suffer from relentless pollution, highlighting the contrast between legislation and reality. Wetlands decay, riverbanks erode, and wildlife populations dwindle as pollutants continue to infiltrate fragile environments. Sources estimate that globally, on average, about 70% of industrial waste is dumped into rivers. But that's not all. Agricultural chemical runoff from farms, overflowing untreated sewers, and countless diffuse sources also contribute to the degradation of our water systems. These chronic, low-level exposures quietly degrade entire ecosystems, slipping past the strong laws meant to protect them. Over time, the cumulative impact of these pollutants can be just as harmful as a major spill. Our legal precautions struggle against the relentless tide of pollution. Conservation efforts are often overwhelmed by the sheer volume of contaminants, making it clear that more needs to be done to bridge the gap between law and practice. Toxic chemicals in water unleash a silent assault on aquatic life, leading to devastating environmental consequences. Heavy metals like mercury and arsenic accumulate up the food chain, poisoning fish, birds, and humans. Synthetic chemicals, including pesticides and plastics, disrupt hormones, causing reproductive failure and disease. The Ganga River's fish populations have plummeted, with survivors often diseased, devastating both ecology and local livelihoods. Chemical pollution also creates dead zones by depleting oxygen, suffocating aquatic life. Algal blooms, fueled by fertilizer runoff, block sunlight and consume oxygen as they decay. The damage is often invisible. Future generations of aquatic life simply never appear. Chemical pollution dismantles ecosystems from the water up. Chemical pollution triggers cascading crises in our oceans. Coral reefs, sensitive to pollutants and warming, bleach and die when stressed, losing their vibrant life. Nutrient runoff fuels algal blooms, creating expanding dead zones devoid of oxygen and life. Meanwhile, oceans absorb carbon dioxide, becoming more acidic. Acidification dissolves the shells of corals, clams, and plankton, threatening the entire marine food web. Shell builders struggle to survive, expending energy just to maintain their defenses. The decline of these species ripples up the food chain, risking collapse of entire ecosystems. Bleaching, deoxygenation, and acidification are interconnected symptoms of a planet under chemical and climate stress. Our oceans are being pushed toward a dangerous tipping point. As seas grow more acidic, shell-building species flee to survive, disrupting entire ecosystems and economies. New threats emerge. Pharmaceuticals and industrial compounds now contaminate our waters. Wastewater plants can't filter out these emerging contaminants, and their effects on aquatic life are only beginning to be understood. Organisms face a toxic cocktail, not just single chemicals, making regulation far more complex. The flagged forever chemicals persist in water, accumulating globally and resisting cleanup. These chemicals are found everywhere, from polar bears to the ocean's depths, and are linked to serious health risks. Our regulatory systems lag behind the reality of this chemical soup. The legacy of these pollutants will challenge us for generations. Climate change compounds this crisis. But despite all these daunting challenges, progress is real. International treaties like the Stockholm Convention have banned some of the world's most dangerous chemicals. Cities are investing in advanced water treatment, removing more contaminants and reviving local waterways. Improved fisheries management helps marine life recover, building resilience against pollution. Green chemistry and sustainable design are gaining ground, encouraging safer products and circular economies. Some industries now use natural dyes or recycle precious metals, reducing their toxic footprint. These solutions show that with innovation and commitment, we can heal our waters. Prevention, not just cleanup, is key to a sustainable future. Pollution and climate change are advancing faster than our solutions, but there are powerful stories of hope. Marine protected areas like Cabo Pulmo in Mexico have seen fish populations rebound dramatically. Coral gardening projects in Fiji and Florida are restoring reefs, with local communities leading the way. The River Thames, once biologically dead, now teems with life after decades of cleanup and regulation. These successes prove that nature can recover when given a chance. Strong policies, science, and community action are the blueprint for restoration. Each recovery is a model for what's possible elsewhere. These are not just anecdotes, they're evidence that change is within reach. Despite decades of scientific warnings and international agreements, the health of our oceans continues to decline at an alarming rate. For every reef restored or species protected, countless others slip into crisis. The scale of the problem is immense, and the damage is often invisible until it's too late. Our best efforts, while important, are often outpaced by the sheer volume of threats facing marine ecosystems. Among the most insidious threats are so-called forever chemicals, which accumulate in water, soil, and living organisms, persisting for centuries and traveling across continents and oceans. Their presence is now detected in the most remote corners of the planet, from Arctic ice to deep-sea trenches. Even if we halted all production today, the toxic legacy of these chemicals would linger for generations. They seep into groundwater, contaminate food chains, and pose risks to both wildlife and human health. The challenge is not just stopping new pollution, but also dealing with the vast contamination already present. As oceans warm, coral reefs bleach and die, marine species migrate or vanish, and entire ecosystems are thrown out of balance. The combined stress of chemical pollution and rising temperatures makes it even harder for marine life to recover. Together, these forces weaken the resilience of ocean ecosystems, choking out oxygen. Fish struggle to survive in warmer, more acidic waters, and once thriving habitats become barren. The intricate web of life that sustains the oceans is unraveling. The expansion of dead zones and the acidification of seawater threaten the foundation of the marine food web. If these trends continue, the consequences will ripple far beyond the ocean, affecting food security, weather patterns, and economies worldwide. Our current trajectory is unsustainable. Small, incremental changes are no longer enough to reverse the damage. We need bold, systemic action to address both pollution and climate change at their roots. The scale and urgency of this crisis demand a coordinated global response. Governments, industries, and individuals must work together, sharing knowledge, resources, and responsibility to protect our oceans for future generations. The time to act is now. If we fail to rise to this challenge, we risk losing the ocean's life support systems, and with them, the future of our planet. Our oceans are at a crossroads. For too long, we've treated waterways as dumping grounds, ignoring the mounting consequences. Now more than ever, we need bold, systemic change to protect our waters, not just for ourselves, but for generations to come. The health of our oceans is directly tied to the health of our planet, our economies, and our communities. This means closing loopholes that allow pollution to slip through the cracks, enforcing strict pollution controls at every level, and embracing a circular economy where waste is not just discarded, but transformed into valuable resources. By rethinking how we produce, consume, and dispose of materials, we can dramatically reduce the burden on our oceans and waterways. On land, regenerative agriculture and natural buffer zones can drastically cut runoff, filter out harmful chemicals, and restore both soil and water health. These practices not only protect rivers and streams from pollution, but also help farmers build resilience against climate change, ensuring food security and healthier ecosystems for all. At the same time, we must make deep, meaningful cuts in greenhouse gas emissions. This is essential to slow ocean warming and acidification, which threaten marine life and coastal communities. Investing in clean energy, improving energy efficiency, and supporting innovative carbon capture technologies are all crucial steps on this journey. Expanding marine protected areas and restoring vital habitats like coral reefs and mangroves are urgent priorities. These ecosystems act as nurseries for countless species, buffer coastlines from storms, and store vast amounts of carbon. Protecting and restoring them is one of the most effective ways to ensure ocean resilience. Our laws must evolve to address the cumulative impact of multiple pollutants, not just single chemicals in isolation. Only by considering the full spectrum of threats can we create regulations that truly safeguard water quality and public health. Stronger policies, better enforcement, and transparent reporting are needed to hold polluters accountable and empower communities to demand change. Real-time monitoring and international cooperation are vital because pollution knows no borders. By sharing data, technology, and expertise, nations can work together to track, prevent, and clean up pollution before it spreads. Ultimately, the path forward is clear. We need systemic change for a healthy planet and society. This means everyone, governments, businesses, and individuals, must play a role in forging a new relationship with our oceans. Our future depends on the choices we make now. By acting together, we can ensure that our oceans remain vibrant, life-sustaining, and full of wonder for generations to come. Healing our waters is a shared responsibility. Governments must set ambitious targets, enforce regulations, and invest in green infrastructure. Industry must innovate, embrace sustainability, and lead by example. Individuals can reduce their chemical footprint, support responsible businesses, and advocate for change. Community action, cleanups, education, and local advocacy multiplies impact. The story of our oceans will be written by our collective courage and action. We have the knowledge and tools to turn the tide. Now we need the will to secure a future of clean, vibrant waters for all.